Hey there, and welcome to the Reclamation Room. I'm Ashana, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a space for women reclaiming themselves after narcissistic abuse. If you've ever felt like you were too much, not enough, or both at the same time, you're in the right place. I created this podcast because I know what it's like to lose yourself in overgiving, overperforming, and still wondering why it never felt like love. I've walked through trauma, toxic relationships, and the long road of self-reclamation, and I'm here to walk with you. In this podcast, we'll explore what it means to come home to yourself after the confusion and chaos of narcissistic abuse. Some episodes will be solo, others will include guest interviews. All of them will be honest, grounded, and deeply compassionate. So, whether you're just realizing what you've lived through, or you've been on this path and you're ready for the next layer of your healing, you are welcome here. This is not about perfection. This is about reclamation.
I used to be a massage therapist, and I would finish a session feeling so depleted because I was giving, and then just felt so empty at the end. And I never feel that way with tapping, which is another reason I know that I found my thing.
Yeah, so cool.
But then I love for people to go to the app because it's such a cost-effective way to get really good guidance on how to approach any one of these things. There are many videos in there, in addition to the 170 different tapping scripts that are available, showing you how to work through depression or how to work through anxiety. Because if you go and you're faced with all of those different tapping scripts, you're not going to know where to start. And so there are videos telling you how to do that. There's also ways for you to go in there and set goals for yourself so that when you do have the time and energy to devote to something, you don't get there and go, well, I'm feeling okay. What should I work on? But you can go back to your goals and say, oh, I remember I wanted to work on this. There's also a journaling aspect to you for it. Just acknowledging and honoring like all the things you felt along the way, all the clarity that you gained along the way, because that's something that tapping will do really fast is it'll give you clarity. And
so is this app yours? Like you created
I
this?
built an app.
That's badass. Oh my gosh. Cool.
Yeah,
This is
thank
like
you.
big
Yeah.
news.
Yeah, it's definitely my life work for sure.
Yeah. So my friends, I want to introduce to you Amy Vincze. She is a tapping practitioner and also an incredible human who came here today to share her story with us and share with us the amazing wonders that tapping can offer, that it did in her life and it can hopefully in yours. She also had a very generous offer for 50% off the app for a year. If you want to check that out, the link is in the show notes. But I'm excited for you guys to get started listening to this episode because I had tons of fun. And Amy, I want to just say thank you for being here today because this was great.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really had fun with this conversation.
Okay, well, honestly, the best way that we do this typically for my audience is to just jump right in. So, would you mind just giving us a rundown of like who you are, what you do, whatever that feels like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. So, all about me, I guess, for a
Yeah,
minute.
if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Not at
Okay.
all. I'm an open book. I will just go into explaining how I get into this is really just the fact that I feel like I've always been a seeker. I've always been somebody that has been really fascinated with not only my own behavior, but the behavior of other people. So I've always wanted to understand, why do I react a certain way to certain things and other people react totally differently? Um, Both from a perspective of me wanting to be better and just get better in my life, but also just trying to understand other people's motivations.
Yeah.
So when I was introduced to tapping, like it really just fit into all of that. But it also came at a period of my life when I was really pursuing understanding myself because I had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. Um, from from my perspective, I didn't get breast cancer. I didn't have any history of breast cancer in my family. To me, it was not just about something physical. To me, I understood that there was an emotional element to it, maybe even a karmic element to it. And I really wanted to understand those things. And so I really went down the path of on the emotional side pretty heavy. And so that's when tapping came into my life. And it really kind of dovetailed in perfectly into what I was seeking in my life. But I have to admit that I had kind of limited success with tapping over the years. Like sometimes it worked great and sometimes it kind of fell flat. So there was a time in my life about 7 years ago when I had another crisis moment, as we do, and it felt like everything was kind of crumbling around me. And I was having panic attacks every day. I was in physical pain a lot of the time and procrastinating. Like I couldn't get myself to make a move on anything. And I turned to tapping again at that point, but I started using it a little bit differently because normally I would use it on whatever symptoms I was experiencing at the time. So I would have focused on the procrastination or things like that. But I just kept asking myself, like, why is this such a problem? What would be so bad about me moving forward on this goal that I say that I want? And the idea came to me that I was afraid of failure. So I said, okay, but what is so bad about failure? Like, what would really happen? All experts say that the most successful people fail many, many times. Like, what's so bad about that? And the answer came that it would confirm my worst fears about myself, that there was something wrong with me. And those were decisions I had made when my dad left when I was a young girl, and I never connected those things. Like I never would have thought that my symptoms of procrastination were actually rooted in my childhood trauma. Like I just and that might be a no-brainer to some people, but for me it was a real aha moment. And so when I started applying tapping to that root trauma and saying things like, well, of course I have these fears, that was those decisions were made when I didn't have all the information, that I was making these decisions from my limited 4-year-old perspective.
Yep.
And we all blame, as little kids, we all blame ourselves for what's ever happening around us. And so, but I was still carrying those same fears and limiting beliefs into my adulthood when I didn't have like the same circumstances anymore. And I was able to convince my subconscious mind that it was okay to let it go now, that it was safe to let those ideas go. And that's when everything changed, when I kind of really recognized the power of this amazing tool. I could apply it to these root traumas. And then my today behavior changed dramatically. Like I was letting go of fears I thought I would have my entire life and behavior that I thought I would have my entire life. It was
Yeah.
really profound. And that's when the moment where I just decided, well, I have to tell everybody about this. Everybody has to know about the real potential behind this amazing tool.
Yeah, for sure. Especially after hearing, where we were kind of, and forgive me if this is overreaching, correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of like medicating the symptom
Oh
before.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, okay, cool. Now I'm not going to do this thing for a few weeks, but then something's going to trigger that innate fear again. And it's like, I need to dig into that and bring it out so it doesn't feel so innate. Like it's not a permanent part
Yeah.
of me. It's,
Yeah.
it's deal withable, right?
And those are a lot of the cues that we get in our world today. Here's how you manage anxiety. Here's how you manage depression or you
Yeah.
manage something else. And like if you think of all of these things as like roadblocks in your ability to move forward on anything, that's just weaving in and out of each individual
Yes.
roadblock,
Yep.
where tapping is like taking them out of the way. There's a lot of roadblocks, and don't get me wrong, I still have my issues,
Yeah.
but I'm taking them out of the way one by one by dealing with the root cause of them. And so, eventually it's going to be a clear pathway as I move
Right.
forward. And certainly I can move forward with a lot more ease now than I have
Mhm.
ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thinking big picture for other people too. And, I hope by now my listeners know that if I ever speak like out of hand, if it doesn't resonate, if it doesn't apply to you, take it with a grain of salt. But there are
Yeah.
people out there who have perhaps received a diagnosis based on these symptoms, right? And
Yes.
now they're living life with like, this is my diagnosis and this
Oh
is
my
just how
gosh.
I'm going to
Yes.
be. I
Yes.
personally believe that that happens more times than it should be. Of
Yes.
course, there are true diagnosis situations. I'm not saying there aren't,
I
but
totally agree.
oh, yeah, cool. Okay.
I
I love
totally
to,
agree.
yeah,
I largely don't agree with a lot of labels like that.
yep.
I think that there are so many trauma-informed labels that we have today that with some intense work, it's not easy work, but with some intense work, it can be neutralized in a lot of different ways.
I think so too.
And certainly there's some management that goes along with that, but neutralized is a lot better than just
Yeah.
management
Managed. Yeah.
and thinking that there's some element of a disability in the way that you move through the world.
Yeah. This is important work.
Yes.
It's important that people hear this. So,
Yes.
what, words, what, what is different about tapping? Like, what is it about the physical aspect of it that changes things or allows things to change?
Okay. Um, Tapping incorporates three different modalities. So it is energy therapy, just like acupuncture,
Hmm.
um, in that we are utilizing the 14 energy meridians found in Chinese medicine. Acupuncture or even acupressure utilizes needles and or pressure on our energy meridians, where
Okay.
tapping uses percussion. So
Right.
really similar. The foundation of energy work is that when our energy system is flowing freely, that we are in a state of health or healing. And when we have a fear or a pain or a limiting belief that there is some blockage in those energy meridians, and that we need to either use needles or the percussion of tapping in order to help break up that blockage and allow energy to flow again. So
Okay.
there's that. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is cognitive therapy, because you are actively talking about what you want to release while you are doing the tapping on your energy meridians.
Okay.
So in my mind, it's like, if you're just going to do acupuncture, that's like putting a diffused light over, say, a
Mm,
tattoo that you want to remove. But when you add in the cognitive therapy aspect, it's like putting a laser light over each individual line. It goes a lot faster and it's a
yeah.
lot more focused healing.
Because you're working with the healing, right? Like you're engaging with
Yes.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's also the somatic therapy element, because when you are physically tapping on your body, you cannot help but kind of gather your energy back from worrying about the past and gather your energy back from catastrophizing about the future and really focusing yourself in a present moment, in the
Mhm.
grounded in your body in the present moment. So there's all three of those things happening at the same time. But what's happening on a scientific level is, when we are in a heightened emotional state of any kind, somehow we have been triggered.
Mhm.
We have our amygdala in our brain, the stress center has been triggered, and we are in fight or flight mode. 99% of the time, we don't know what has caused that. We just know that that's what we're like.
We're
Maybe we
in
have
it.
a shortness of breath. Maybe we're just really jumpy and we can't sit still, kind of thing. Like there's a million things. Or maybe we freeze and
Mhm.
you're in procrastination mode and you're paralyzed about moving forward on something. Those are all moments where you are triggered, but you might not know exactly why. So, what tapping does, because our amygdala has been triggered, we're rushed with cortisol in our body. What tapping does is it tells our amygdala over and over again, de escalate, de escalate, de escalate, de escalate. It's okay to feel safe and calm in this moment. Remember, we're making ourselves grounded in our body. It's okay to feel safe and calm in this present moment. There are no immediate threats likely. And it's okay to de-escalate. And when we can de-escalate, it allows whatever signals, electrical signals are going up to the amygdala, it allows them to bypass the amygdala and go straight to the prefrontal cortex where we can make logical sound decisions again. So the tapping is removing cortisol from our system 43% faster than if you had done nothing else.
Wow.
It's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge. It will lower your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, it will increase your immune response, and it will increase your levels of happiness. So it's doing all of that in a very, very short period of time.
Yeah.
So you can just tap on your body and just talk about how stressed I feel. And you don't have to have any of the background information, and it will do all of those things. And it will help you feel more calm. In a moment, it is a perfect band aid
Mm-hmm.
like if you're having an anxious moment. And it can also be applied to those root causes when you have more dedicated time to give it. And it can neutralize things at the source, meaning that, anxiety is just an accumulation of fears. If you tell yourself it's okay to feel safe in this moment, you can put a band-aid on it. But if
Mm-hmm.
you start attacking those individual fears with tapping one by one, and starting to neutralize those at the source, you can conceivably get rid of anxiety.
Yeah. This could have like huge long-term effects too, not even just on anxiety, but like your overall health.
Your overall, everything,
Longevity.
everything.
Like,
Because our physical body is just a manifestation of our emotions that we have not processed. So if we continue to process those and release them from our body, we are increasing our ability to lead a healthy life for a very long period of time.
yeah. Oh my gosh, this is like, okay, so you hear about tapping, right? You see
Yeah.
people do it. That sounds cool. That's cool.
Yes.
But I love that you're bringing these actual facts and statistics in and things that people can concretely say, okay, wow, yeah, that's useful.
And over 300 peer review studies have been performed, and they all show the efficacy and the efficiency of this amazing tool. It's surprising to me that more people haven't already jumped on board, but I also get that it looks silly, and it like the amount of things that we say it can do compared to what it looks like it's doing, it just doesn't add up until you experience it yourself.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
and you
does.
got to think too, like the root fears and the things that we're diving into at this. Of course, there's probably some sense of trepidation about that, right? Like, now
Sure.
I'm gonna have to open up that can of worms. Like, I'm not ready to look at that yet. Does it work on people who may feel that way?
Absolutely. And it's extremely effective, especially on things like I'm going to call it big T trauma,
Hmm.
where people can easily identify that there's trauma there, whether it's a big car accident or a sexual or physical
Yeah,
assault
yeah.
of some kind. But what we do in those cases is we just go really, really slow. Like if somebody has a big trauma that they don't feel safe enough to face, we put that trauma in a vault on the other side of a city, and the client is the only one that has a combination to that vault. And just the awareness of it being there can raise their intensity level to a 10. So
Mhm.
we tap it down over there
Yep.
and then we get it to a 0 and then we can bring it a little bit closer. The vault's still not open and we just take it baby steps all along the way. And that is not the intention to re-traumatize somebody by going after it and just
Yeah.
diving in with something, but make it as safe as possible all along the way.
And I'm listening, so I'm assuming that with the big thing in the vault, they might feel more safe in the moment to face those small everyday things that are coming up.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is so cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
is there a layer of personal story here that you would like to share, beyond what you have? And it's okay if you don't, but like, you shared that it helped you with your procrastination. Was there a like a big, big, bad, awful for you, you know?
Right. I get what you're asking. And Um, the answer is not really, not in the traditional sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I got really confused about my own behavior because
Mm-hmm.
would look at my past and say, well, I didn't have one of those things.
Yep. It wasn't that bad. Why am I
It
acting this
wasn't
way?
like, what, why
Hmm.
do I overreact all the time? Why do I get so defensive all the time when somebody's trying to give me constructive criticism? I'm like I know this is unbecoming behavior, but it just, it just seems to come out.
Yeah.
But when I started to see the effect of my dad leaving and that decision that I made, and the decision that there's something wrong with me, and then always looking for evidence that there is something wrong with me, shaped every single decision I made, every single aspect of my life.
Yeah.
It totally dictated the partners that I would choose and whether or not I could actually pursue a goal in my life or and feel like I could be successful with it.
Hmm.
It really shaped every single part of who I am. And so it became, I'm going to call it a complex small t trauma,
Yeah.
which is a lot harder to identify. And I think that was my main problem moving forward in my life until I got to like a crisis point, the
Hmm.
crisis point 7 years ago when I just started going, oh my God, that makes perfect sense
Yep.
that I would be this way in my life because it was so important to me to win people's love and affection by being perfect. That the
Yeah.
idea of being imperfect meant that nobody would love me. And that was like a massive, massive fear for me.
Yep. Because if there's something you can do about it, that's something that's within your control, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Now I can do something. Okay, good. It's not hopeless.
yes. And so that was probably the biggest light bulb moment I ever had was realizing it didn't have to be a big T trauma in order for it to have huge implications in my behavior, in my life, and where I was
Yeah,
ever.
this is important for people to hear because I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, like, I don't even feel like there's even any trauma there. Like, there's got to be something wrong with me.
I
And
know,
it's
right?
like, no, trauma is a gateway drug, man. Like, it all starts somewhere, right? Like,
Yes,
and
yes, absolutely.
I hate to make things sound like pessimistic. I don't mean it in that way at all, but like rather that we're heart beings, right? Like we're in connection here. This is how we live relationally.
Yeah,
Any kind of pain, and you may feel differently, so feel free to jump in, but it can be a trauma and it can change the way you view the world, the way you view yourself, the way
I
you
totally
interact.
agree. Yeah, I totally agree. It was another reason it was such a profound moment is because I just assumed these were all character defects, that I was just like a shitty, insecure person that was really guarded all the time. Like I could never let anybody in. And what I've come to realize is all of my behavior was all in an attempt to keep my heart safe. That's all I was doing, was trying to keep myself safe. I was going about it in all the wrong ways.
Yep.
And the real defining moment was recognizing that I needed to lean into my fears in order,
Terrifying.
terrifying, instead of backing away, which is everybody's instinct, like a natural instinct to back away from it. I needed to lean into it in order to heal it.
So, how did you figure out? Because, I'm hearing that it's extremely helpful to figure out like what is the actual root fear here.
Yeah.
Was it an epiphany for you? Like, how did you instinctively know to lean into that part and ask what the real fear was?
Uh, I'm just going to call that moment intuition, but I have been in finding out with my clients and with myself all along the way that asking what's underneath that is probably the most important question I can probably ask myself or my clients.
Yeah.
So you might think that the anger is really the root or the act that made you angry is really the root cause but not necessarily. Like what's underneath that? If we can't get rid of that anger with tapping within like 3 or 4 rounds, there's something underneath that. There's some kind of vow that you've made to yourself, some kind of rule that is in place that you feel like you cannot let go of because it doesn't feel safe.
Mm.
That's typically what's underneath everything.
Yeah.
All behavior, addiction, like we talked about depression or anxiety or procrastination, weight gain, like any physical issue too. I firmly believe that there is if it's not healing, that there is an emotional source to it that is not been addressed.
Yep.
And yeah, from my own experience and from the experience of my clients, I can easily say that that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I side note question, and we don't even have to include this, but the breast cancer situation,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
around your heart. That's also around
Yes.
your lungs, which is grief. Did
Yes.
you come to a conclusion there of like what you might have been holding on to?
Yeah, I'm going to say that the shadow in the heart chakra is all about that critical voice. It's our
Mm,
inner critic. That's where that lives. I mean, you think your heart chakra is this really big, beautiful thing, but the shadow of the heart chakra is like the worst one ever because
mm,
it's our critical voice. And I had the worst critical voice telling me I was a POS all the time. And I was also extremely guarded, like I said. So tons of armor around my heart and tons of negative talk all the time. It can't help but, that it creates layer upon layer of all of those negative emotions, all of the, like, if you have a negative thought or a fearful thought, it creates cortisol in your body. It's not just an isolated thing. It creates
yeah,
a reaction in your body. And like after years and decades of me doing that, I am not surprised that it created an angry mass in
yeah.
my breast.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think in terms of like, fear, anger, cortisol, like
Yeah.
it's acidic, right? Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
vitriol, like you know, and it's
Yes.
not free flowing because think about, you have these burdens, right? And you're carrying these burdens. What
Yes.
happens? You're tense,
Yeah.
you're hardened.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
It has an effect. It just does. And, I had to go after it. I had to lean into those things in particular and do really hard work in order to, and for my own peace of mind, to assure that it wouldn't come back.
Mm,
I just did like 2 rounds of chemo. I actually didn't pursue it, and I had a mastectomy. I didn't pursue the medical track beyond that because there was a part of me that just felt so strongly that it was more an emotional thing for me.
yeah.
So yeah.
Leaning into that intuition again, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But I
So,
think that's what gives us our own personal answers.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Because it might not be the right answer for someone else.
It might not be. And I would never encourage somebody to quit their chemotherapy, go through that. If you think that that is something that is going to save you, it probably will.
Yes. Yeah. And a huge part of that, I think, is because you believe it will. If you truly,
Yeah.
truly believe it, the mind
Yeah.
is so powerful.
Way more powerful than any drug.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
So, how long have you been doing this? 16 years?
yes, I have been certified for 16 years. I've been doing it for close to 20 on myself. And it is definitely my thing. Like I just found my career, thank goodness, because Um, I think one of my superpowers is empathy. And there's a lot of times when that is not helpful. But in this case, it really is because when I work with my clients, I'm really easily able to put myself in their shoes and feel their pain and be able to put words to whatever they're experiencing.
Mm,
So, yeah, I've just thankfully I found my thing. And
Yeah.
it has become my mission and my passion to just make other people aware that this is available to them, that they don't have to live with the suffering that they're experiencing, that they have a tool they can use, whether they want to work with me or whether they want to download the app and work with the app. There's a most likely a way that they can receive some measure of healing
Hmm.
that doesn't have to be super expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, this on this show, my listeners are typically women. I do have a
Mhm.
few men, so that was cool. I had a man come on the show and shared his story, and I had a few guys reach out and they're like, "Hey, that was awesome. Thanks." I'm like, "Well, hello over there."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but so typically women, uh, typically recovering from some form of betrayal trauma, narcissistic abuse, typically bringing along some complex trauma also.
Yep.
Um, but often having situations in relationships of repeating the same patterns or codependency, not feeling enough, poor boundaries.
Hmm.
I'm wondering if you have had many clients who would fit that bill per se, and if you could talk us through maybe some challenges that arose for you guys to work through, or what that might look like for some of our listeners.
Yeah. Um, Most of my clients suffer with some level of that, all of the things that you mentioned. And I think the struggle with this is that people mostly want to focus on the symptoms, like we've talked about. And the work actually happens by going down to the trauma and the foundational fears that the trauma created. So the feeling of not being enough or something along those lines shapes everything about who you are. If we don't start there, whatever symptoms we work on will maybe last a little while, but most likely it will only um, be applied to that specific circumstance and it
Mm.
will happen again.
In another context,
In
maybe.
another context, absolutely, it'll happen at work. You'll get overlooked for something because you don't think that you're enough. You
Yeah.
won't make it as much money because you don't think that you're enough. You won't pick a partner that values you because you don't think that you're enough. All of this limiting belief about who you are will affect every single thing. And so, starting there is the most important thing. There is definitely an order to how we ought to do this because you can't create that beautiful partnership without addressing that first. It's
Hmm.
not about what your partner's doing ever.
Yeah. It's what about you think you can receive?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. You have to only look at your side of the street. And if there's trauma associated with being in a partnership of some kind of betrayal, it's important to do that work, but then also deal with the root cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not easy.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Like,
God,
please,
it's
please,
not
everyone know.
easy. And I get that most people don't want to kind of unearth those feelings, but that is the path to healing it, is actually processing it and releasing it from your body. And that's how you do it, is by leaning in. It's not
Yeah.
about pushing it away or denying that something really significant happened or just going, it's okay. I've got a lot of blessings in my life and, that sort of thing. That, which is, like I said, it's most people's just instinct to do that. But the real healing comes with moving through it and getting to the other side. And when you do that, you have way more perspective than you ever did
Hmm.
on this side of the trauma.
Yeah. And capacity to hold space for
Oh
yourself and
my gosh.
others, which is what you've been wanting, right? When you've had these
Yes.
relationships, like, I'm
Yes.
not showing up as my best self here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's really profound. It's hard work. And I just encourage people to just try it, lean in a little bit, give yourself that opportunity to surprise yourself by getting through the other side intact because no emotion will ever kill you unless you don't deal with it.
Yep. Yeah.
We're just not accustomed to it. We've never been encouraged to lean into our emotions like this either. I mean, how long ago was it that women were being committed for being overly emotional, or men get accused of being weak if they show anything other than anger? Like,
Yeah.
we are not encouraged to go down this road. And that's why I think we're having such a, I'm going to call it an emotional revolution right now, because we're finally realizing the impact
Yeah.
that avoiding all of these emotions has had on us, physically, mentally, like all the things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, the
It's like
path,
waking up from a fog. Like I know for me growing up, it was stop crying or I'll give you a reason to cry.
right?
I have a reason to cry. I'm crying, but that's telling me that's not a reason to cry. And then someone else will dole that out
Yeah,
for me and decide when it's okay for me to cry. And there's going to be aggression and harm if I do. Like, what? That's so
yeah,
confusing to a small child.
in more ways than we can count. Like
Yeah.
that kind of talk and behavior is so damaging to our ability to process things in a normal way,
Yeah. Yep. And
which
then
is
we're
to,
shown
which
that
is
the normal way is stoic and pleasing others.
Yeah, yeah. Don't let me make you feel uncomfortable by, showing my emotions. So I'm going to shut everything down, especially women, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're just supposed to be pleasing.
Mm,
So it's undoing a lot of stuff, undoing a lot of expectations on ourselves and outside expectations. There's risk of judgment and criticism from other people if we really lean into this kind of stuff
for sure.
and surrender to it as part of our own healing. I can't tell you how much like judgment and criticism I get from people who are just not ready to go there. And just they'll get there eventually. I know that.
Yeah.
Um, but not now. That's okay too.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hmm.
So what does it look like? Do you do one-on-one sessions, group classes? What all do you have?
One-on-one sessions are my absolute fave.
I
Um,
bet.
yeah. I just I find it's very fulfilling to take somebody from an intensity of a 10 on anything down to a 0. That is my absolute
Wow.
favorite thing. And I'm constantly tapping on myself too. So I can't help but feel really great at the end of a session, right? I
Yeah.
used to be a massage therapist, and I would finish a session feeling so depleted because I was giving, 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 and then just felt so empty at the end. And I never feel that way with tapping, which is another reason I know that I found my thing.
Yeah, so
Um,
cool.
but then I love for people to go to the app because it's such a cost-effective way to get really good guidance on how to approach any one of these things. There are many videos in there, in addition to the 170 different tapping scripts that are available, showing you how to work through depression or how to work through anxiety. Because if you go and you're faced with all of those different tapping scripts, you're not going to know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are videos telling you how to do that. There's also ways for you to go in there and set goals for yourself so that when you do have the time and energy to devote to something, you don't get there and go, well, I'm feeling okay. What should I work
Mm-hmm.
on? But you can go back to your goals and say, oh, I remember I wanted to work on this. There's also a journaling aspect to you for it. Just acknowledging and honoring like all the things you felt along the way, all the clarity that you gained along the way, because that's something that tapping will do really fast is it'll give you clarity and
So
thoughts
is this
will.
app yours? Like you
Yeah,
created
I
this?
built an app.
That's badass. Oh my gosh. Cool.
Yeah,
This is
thank you.
like big
Yeah.
news.
Yeah, it's definitely my life work for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, I'll
yeah.
include the link to it, of course.
They can go to the Android or Apple Play stores and just search for Soar with Tapping and they can download it there. I mean, if you go to my website, Soar with Tapping, there's ways for you to get to it, but it's not a desktop-based app. It's just strictly for your phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
I'm
very
I'm so
cool.
grateful that you're sharing this here. I feel humbled to be sharing this with others and helping you pass this along because I feel like people really could benefit from this greatly.
I I hope so. I really hope so. I do want to share for iPhone users, they can get 50% off of their first annual subscription. They can go to my website, soarwiththapping.com/podcast dash special. And there they will be given a code they can input. Once they already download the app, they can put it in there. It's really easily seen in the app. It just says big button that says redeem code, so they can go in there and get 50% off their first annual subscription at the end of a 14-day free trial. So you can go in, try it out for 14 days. If you don't like it, delete it. If you do like it but don't want to pay for it, there's just a small section of free content only, or you can put in the code and get 50% off of your first annual. But there's also monthly and quarterly subscriptions to make the cost even more manageable.
Awesome. So I'm assuming the videos will also tell you, like my question in all of this is there's energy meridians, right? I'm
Yes.
guessing you have those memorized.
Yes, I do.
So for a general layperson out here in the world, we just start tapping in random places, right? Because we don't know the placement. Are there different places for different things, for different
There
messages?
are, that can get a little too complicated. That's why Gary Craig, one of the pioneers in this area, de developed kind of a pattern that covers all 14 energy meridians. So there's a video in the app that highlights that and makes sure that everybody knows the tapping points.
Okay.
But different practitioners will use different tapping points. It doesn't mean anybody's wrong. It just means that they learned something different than I did. I like to tap on both sides of my body. I like to tap on all 14 energy meridians. Some people skip a few just to make it a quicker process, I think.
Hmm. Oh, this is
And
per session?
this is per session,
Okay.
per
Per
round.
per
Like,
round. Okay.
yeah, because when we're doing a tapping round, we're going from you know, all of these different spots and we end up at the top of the head. But I just keep going. I do round after round after round, and tapping on all the different energy meridians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one?
A favorite one I like to tap on, I think it's my collarbone point, because when
Here.
you start tapping, it's like an inch down from your
Okay.
collarbone. There's a little valley in between yeah, you've got this
Okay.
exact spot right there on either side of your sternum.
Okay.
And I tend to feel it there more than others. Like if I am really struggling with something, I have a tendency to want to stay in that spot for a while.
Mm,
But it is really beneficial to just continue to go round and round with all of the different spots.
yeah. I'm gonna have to get this app.
I hope you do. I hope you do. And I hope you enjoy it. There's no substitute for working with somebody individually, because I would use your exact words and your exact
Mm,
experiences and your exact emotions that you attach to an experience. So with the app, it had to be pretty
generalized.
generalized,
Yeah.
but it's still extremely effective, and it's still going to give words to what you're experiencing that you probably wouldn't have before, and it'll still take you through a full emotional arc. It starts off at the beginning of a tapping script by really acknowledging and honoring all of the hard feelings. Like, it is meant to talk about how horrible that betrayal felt. Like, that is the worst feeling, and it really is intended to get you into that feeling.
Hmm.
And after a few rounds of that, we transition to questioning whether you still need to hold on to it in order to stay safe. And then it transitions from there into surrendering that that happened and that you learned a lesson from it, but I don't need to hold on to it anymore, kind of thing. So it really takes you through of the full emotional arc and trying to get you to the place of really healing it.
Hmm. That's so powerful. And I would assume
Yeah.
in person, you're there holding space for this person. There's rapport, right? There's trust, there's togetherness. That's so special because even just the beginning, what you were sharing, like validating, like this was awful. That was
Yeah.
so bad. I do that for my kids, right? When they fall and they have a scratch.
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and my daughter especially. Now, I've learned so much from my kids, probably more than they've learned from me. But
Mm.
my daughter, when she has fallen off the swing or gotten hurt, she'll talk that story through. And she'll talk it through and she'll talk it through. And if I would have done that as a child, it would have been like, oh my God, yeah, shut up, you know? And
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
so brilliant. She's so wise. And then we're able to talk and you know, Mama came and we got back up and you kept swinging and it was okay. And she's like, yeah. And then a week or two later, it slows and then she'll get to the point where she's like, yeah, that was fun. And then she doesn't talk about it
Oh
anymore.
my God, I just love that. I love that emotional resiliency because she was able to be in it in the moment. It didn't turn into anything worse because she
Yeah.
was there. And then it was okay.
And then it was okay. And I feel
Oh,
like
I just
that's
love
what
it.
you're doing in this, like as you're, you know,
Yeah.
where you're with them and we're valid, like, yeah, you fell off the swing. That was probably scary. That probably
Mm-hmm.
hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking them through that.
And I honestly don't think that there are any negative emotions at all. I don't think that there are any negative thoughts. If somebody has like a reaction to betrayal where they want that other person to hurt, I'm like, of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do. You want them to understand how bad they hurt you. Of
Yeah.
course you would want that retribution. So I'm honoring and acknowledging and holding all of those things because I think that they're valid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Actually acting on them is not something I would ever encourage, but talking about them and actually honoring them as a natural response to whatever happened,
Not shaming them.
ever, ever, I never think that there is something to be shamed about our feelings about anything. I'm so glad to hear that you do that with your kids. That's something I've just always tried to do with my daughter. She's upset about anything. I don't even say anything. I just sit with her and be with her until she's ready to be done. I don't have to do anything except be present and hold her. And it's so simple.
Yeah. Reminder that she's okay, that
Yeah.
she's loved
Yeah.
regardless.
Always, always. Yeah.
So many, this is why I say too, like, and I say it jokingly, but like trauma is a gateway drug
Mm-hmm.
just to so many bigger things. And I think that even when we had a small pain, not having a person be there with us in that. And I'm not saying that's anyone's parents' fault. Maybe they couldn't be there. Maybe you were at school, you know, but
Yeah.
not having someone there with you and seeing you through that, that can cause this feeling of loneliness. It can cause this feeling of I'm not worthy of being protected. So I truly,
Yeah.
genuinely believe that so many of us are just like bumping into each other in this world and we all want the same thing.
I think we do.
Yeah.
I think at our core, we all want exactly the same thing.
And I think that what you're offering here is again, kind of tell me if I've got it wrong, but I feel like this is your offering of that, like your way of saying, here, let me help with that.
Yeah. The difference that tapping has made for me has just been so profound. And I have so much more compassion for myself and I have so much more compassion for other people. Like
Mm,
I like it has taught me so much about who people are and what their motivations are. I just want everybody to feel the same way that I do about it now. Like I
yeah.
would really love for everybody to see shitty behavior for what it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. So like gosh, sometimes on this podcast, I'm like putting words in people's mouths. I'm always like, tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like you want everyone to see tapping the way you do, but I also feel like maybe you want everyone to see themselves the way you see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Because every single one of us is just trying to stay safe.
Hmm.
I know that.
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing, I know that you're just trying to stay safe and you're going about it in all the wrong ways sometimes,
And
all
that's
the right
okay.
ways in other times. And it's
Yeah.
okay. And because I have compassion for that part of you that just wants to stay safe.
Yeah.
And it's
And
most likely like your little kid, like
yeah.
you're operating from your little kid's perspective.
Yeah, with the
always.
example that you had to follow or the logic that you were working with when things weren't quite as
Yeah.
logical yet.
Yeah, with all the things that were going on around you, with all of the other broken people that were trying to teach you how to live. Like, of course you felt that way. Of course you're doing this now. That makes perfect sense to me. If you don't want to do it anymore, here's the path
Yep.
to release that behavior. That's
This
it.
is so good. I was talking with my best friend recently, and I'm like, the way the conversations that we have, I know there's more people out there having conversations like this. And I genuinely believe that's why I started hosting a podcast versus just guesting, because it's one thing to hear my own
Yeah.
voice constantly.
Yeah.
And now I get to meet other people, and
Yeah.
you're so amazing. You're incredible. And
Well, I feel the same way about you because this is a partnership, right?
it
You're
is.
elevating a certain message and making it available to people that might not have otherwise heard it. So you are just as big of a beacon in a different way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners before we close?
Mostly it's just try it. Just suspend judgment and just try it and see if it's something that you feel like you can incorporate into your life. And if you do, then there are a lot of resources out there for you to make it easy to get on the right path and take the right steps with it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to include your information in the show notes. So anyone listening, head down below, click the links. So my friend's Amy Vince. She is a tapping practitioner and also an incredible human who came here today to share her story with us and share with us the amazing wonders that tapping can offer, that it did in her life and it can hopefully in yours. She also had a very generous offer for 50% off the app for a year. If you want to check that out, the link is in the show notes. And Amy, I want to just say thank you for being here today because this was great.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really had fun with this conversation. Okay.
I'm glad we met.
And I am too. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. We'll chat soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for spending time in the Reclamation Room. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if this supported you, consider sharing it or leaving a review. You're not alone, and your reclamation is sacred.